This is like the fucking third time tonight that it has crashed or some fucking, like, it's just so, it's ridiculous. My CPU is at fucking, oh my god. My CPU is like absolutely trash right now. It's like, it's just spiking all over the place. 58, 70, 80, 58, all over the place. It's a little ridiculous. It's a little bit fucked. It's probably because I'm just trying to install a game. Who knows? It's very frustrating though. Anyway. I'm hungry as fuck. But I don't want anything we have. Without the game installed. It's like almost done, dude. That's probably why it's shitting itself so bad. Who knows? Anyway. Sorry for bitching. I'm gonna... Not chatting and driving. Please don't be driving. Don't be driving. Please, Bandit. Don't be doing all that. Why am I in the middle? What the fuck is happening? This is just, it's so frustrating. It came back and I said OBS had crashed, even though OBS was literally still running. Huh? And every time it does that, it's like the funniest fucking shit to me, because it's like, if I click no or yes, or to even try to go back to OBS, if I try, because it's like a pop-up, but OBS is still running just fine. And then if I try to go back to the actual OBS screen and like actually fucking like click on OBS, it just won't do anything. And then I have to like click yes or no if I want to report it to the crash log. And if I click either yes or no, it'll still just fucking crash. So stupid. Anyway, I'm hungry. I'm like getting like fucking hangry a little bit too. So I'm gonna go find some fucking food. Isn't that just like fucked up, you know? It's so stupid. Makes me very angry. Here, watch Bluey. while I go get food, while I go get snacks for our... You can't hear it. There you go.
For you. Okay, kids?
Thank you, Meta.
Should eat these.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this playing for just a second.
I like food.
Thanks for the update.
And stools can't talk.
Yoo-hoo.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this for just a second and then I'll come back.
My wife.
It's Bluey's good, okay? Don't. Hey, now take that back.
About dishwashers.
Dishwasher. Wife.
I watched Bluey. I've watched all the seasons multiple times over.
Don't worry about the sun. It's meant to be there.
Okay.
I have a wife.
Ooh, okay.
You better get on that.
On it. C'est bon. Bonjour, Pavlova. Pour la discothèque?
Yes, thank you. It's a good size.
Bonjour.
Thank you.
Where's some more?
Thank you.
You know, he just called you a booger.
What?
Daddy, me go boom boom in nappy. Thanks, me daddy.
Holidays and Merry Christmas from me! From me! Nobody else! It's 4th of July. It's 4th of July. Happy 4th of July!
You know how I said you're the most beautiful in the world?
Yes.
You're not.
Oh.
Back to work, peasant. I mean, carry on.
These grass clippings you're talking about. Why don't we...
Twitch, subscribe! Subscribe on twitch.tv sub and you get free bets if you connect your account.
I'm making pizza rolls and they're not done yet. So here, everything hates me. Hold on. Is this TOS? I don't know. Is it TOS? We're gonna cry like little children. I don't know. Don't. Here, you could watch the dream interview. Blop. I'm just trying to make pizza rolls.
Huh?
Here.
So, you gonna kiss her? I'm not even sure I should take her out. Just take the girl out, kiss her, then step back before she pukes. I got it. Freddie! Come in.
Hey. When did you... What are you doing here?
I was in the neighborhood, wanted food, didn't want to pay for it. Here I am.
iCarly was so good. What do you mean,
Alright.
bro?
Hey, Carly home yet?
No, but everyone else is.
I wish I blobbed as a toddler. Oh my god.
Hey, Spencer.
Hey, kiddo.
Oh, Sam and Freddie are here.
When aren't they here?
Good point.
So true.
Hey, Spencer.
Hi.
Whoa! I almost didn't recognize you guys not sitting on my couch.
Okay. Yeah, this is one of the only types of shows that I liked. Because, like, you know, a lot of them are like shit, you know? So.
2 weeks ago.
So I get it. I get it. Oh my god, don't even say that. Okay, 1 second. I gotta pull it back. I'm gonna pull it up on this tab. Not the reaction. Game theory. Oh, it looks like I already watched it. I
2
didn't
weeks
though.
ago.
Here we go. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. I love how the go live notification was Community Mario Kart. I didn't watch it. It looks like I did though.
I went live on my YouTube channel to play Ruin and see if I could find any new Easter eggs. And during my search for Easter eggs, Scott Cawthon himself joined my stream. And I got to give him a sneak peek of the theory I'm gonna share with you today. This was his reaction. It is a very interesting theory. I know it is, Scott. Obviously, he can't confirm or deny anything, but it was really cool to see him in my stream. This theory is one of my most ambitious, and I'm super excited to share it with you. All I ask is that you keep an open mind and remember this is just a theory. One of the things I love to do when making FNAF theories is look for the little details that help solve the greater story. I feel like that's something I'm good at, so when I started playing Ruin, I got overwhelmed. Steelwool Studios gave us a game where there's illusions everywhere, an AR world and the real world, and there was just so much to look at that I didn't even know where to start. So I decided instead to take a step back and look at the story they're trying to tell us. On a very basic level, Ruin is about a little girl who breaks into an abandoned mall to try and find her friend that she swears is trapped in there. But it turns out that he wasn't trapped at all, and she was tricked. When I thought about the game like that, I started to notice something. This isn't the first time we've heard this story. The Silver Eyes trilogy were the first ever FNAF books to be released, and on a very basic level, the first book is about a group of friends who go and explore a mall that was built on top of an old Freddy's Pizzeria. While they explore the old pizzeria, they have a run-in with William Afton, aka Springtrap. That sounds just like what happens in Security Breach. We explore a mall that was built on top of an old Freddy's Pizzeria, and while exploring the pizzeria, we have a run-in with Springtrap. So if Security Breach is the first book, what's the second book about? In the second book, The Twisted Ones, a tornado hit the town and the mall is now destroyed. We learned that the mall was set to be demolished, but because of the tornado, tornado, the demolition was put on pause. As I kept rereading this book, the connections to what we saw in Ruin kept piling up. The mall in the books was destroyed by a tornado. The mall in the games was destroyed by an earthquake. The mall in the books was set
I didn't
to be
catch that.
demolished, but was put on hold. In Ruin, we see a giant wrecking ball
guess-
that started to demolish the building, but now just sits there. In Ruin, Cassie's friend Gregory is calling out for help.
You have to find me. I'm trapped in the sinkhole under the raceway.
Following his call leads Cassie to a giant cave with glowing mushrooms, a big waterfall, and a facility full of carnival-themed mascot costumes. All of this stuff that probably felt very new and confusing also happened in this book. Charlie swears that her missing brother Sammy is calling out to her. Following this call leads her to a giant cave with glowing mushrooms, a waterfall, and a facility with a bunch of carnival-themed mascot costumes. Charlie swears that her missing brother is behind a door covered in concrete. Cassie swears that Gregory is behind a door covered in concrete. And both in this book and the game, it ends up being a trap. But right before Cassie and Charlie get attacked, an animatronic comes in and saves them. In Ruin, Roxy came in and tackled the animatronic. In the book,
Sillies.
Foxy
What's up,
came
E-Rock?
in and tackled the animatronic, along with the other OG animatronics. Even the fate of both Charlie and Cassie is left a mystery at the end. The Twisted Ones literally ends with it looking like Charlie died, but then they hint that she might have survived, just like Ruin. The elevator falls, and then after the credits, we hear this.
Cassie.
Scott isn't just taking ideas from these books, he's taking the stories themselves and using them as heavy inspiration for the games. If we looked at these books to try and predict what would happen in Ruin, we would have been almost 100% correct. So if the first book is Security Breach and the second book is Ruin, what's the third book about? Well, those carnival-themed mascot costumes weren't first introduced in the Tales books, they were introduced in the Twisted Ones to foreshadow what was to come in the fourth closet. When we visit Circus Baby's Pizza World, a carnival-themed restaurant. We also
This is
visit the book's version of the sister
crazy.
location bunker and meet all of the Funtime animatronics. And if this pattern continues, that would mean Help Wanted 2 would be the fourth closet. And where are we going in Help Wanted 2? The sister location bunker to meet the Funtime animatronics. If
Whoa.
Ruin taught me anything, it's to look to these books to figure out what's gonna happen next. So I would bet money that we're also gonna see Circus Baby's Pizza World in Help Wanted 2. Need more proof? While searching through the game files of Ruin, Maz on Twitter found this note that Steelwool left in an old version of the Mimic Chase area. Quote, something cool that maybe foreshadows Carnival, pending J-Top's thoughts. We definitely don't visit a carnival at the end of Ruin, so we must be visiting this carnival in Help Wanted 2. In the epilogues of the Tales books, the main characters were hanging out at a carnival before heading to
What's
the
up, Grab
Pizza
Pocket?
Plex. One of the levels in Security Breach Fury's Rage, the last game Scott made before Security Breach released, features posters advertising
I didn't even know this was a
circus with
thing.
carnival happening in the background. We also have the leaked balloon circus characters that have yet to be explained. The connections go on and on.
Huh.
So I'm convinced that Circus Baby's Pizza World is where we're going next. But the question is why? Well, in the fourth closet, this was all leading up to Circus Baby being revealed as the big bad. In the Silver Eyes trilogy, Henry created
was,
hyper-realistic
Sky.
robot versions of Charlie after her death, one for each stage of her life. He kept each Charlie bot in different closets in his house. But when he got to the fourth Charlie bot, he started having
Hold on. I need to back it
The
up.
question
Ellie was
is-
texting me. I
so
was not paying
I'm
attention.
convinced that Circus Baby's Pizza World is where we're going next. But the question is why? Well, in the fourth closet, this was all leading up to Circus Baby being revealed as the big bad. In the Silver Eyes trilogy, Henry created hyper-realistic robot versions of Charlie after her death, one for each stage of her life. He kept each Charlie bot in different closets in his house. But when he got to the fourth Charlie bot, he started having regrets about what he was doing, and in a fit of grief and rage, poured his agony into the robot. After Henry left the robot behind, Afton came in and stole it, turning it into what we
That's
now know as
crazy.
Baby. Baby was the fourth Charlie bot, hence the title of the book, The Fourth Closet. If this sounds familiar, I've actually talked about this before. Last year, I pointed out the Nightmarion plushies and imagery throughout Security Breach. Charlie possesses the puppet, so Nightmarion would be the metaphorical evil/dark version of
Hold on.
Charlie.
Whoa,
While
there's so much information in this. Bandit, get a
puppet,
nice
so
nap.
I pointed out the Nightmarion plushies and imagery throughout Security Breach. Charlie possesses the puppets,
Okay.
so Nightmarion would be the
Who is the other
metaphorical
one?
evil/dark
Who's-
version of Charlie. While playing through
Uh,
Ruin, I noticed
okay,
that
hold
the
on.
Nightmare Eon plushies were bad.
Why is there a Nightmare
Stop,
version?
Steelwool. They put this in the game to just taunt me. But it wasn't until I started exploring off-stream that I noticed they aren't just back, they're once again hidden throughout the game, but most notably in one specific place. During the part of the game where the Mimic is chasing you, you enter this hallway leading up to an elevator, and tucked behind some boxes in the
Okay.
corner is a Nightmare Eon plushie. I don't know if this is Steelwool just messing with me, but putting one of those plushies in the most lore-heavy part of the game feels intentional. You know what else feels intentional? Throughout the game, you
Thank
can
you,
collect
Hero.
different plushies. Every plushie features a character we see at the Pizzaplex, except two, a Baby plushie and a Nightmare Eon plushie. Baby and the evil version of Charlie. In the fourth closet, Baby, an evil version of Charlie, was revealed as the big bad. There's also so many weird connections
Whoa.
to Baby in this game. There's this room full of half scrap Baby plushies with green eyes and half Baby plushies with blue eyes. Baby is synonymous with ice cream, and the Fredbear cutout we see in one of the endings features him holding
I
an
never
ice cream in both his hands.
finished
also
that.
in that ending,
Oh,
we
wait.
see everyone
So I
sitting
think
on a
I have
hill
4.
enjoying an ice
I beat
cream.
1 and
Ruin
2.
itself also plays
Didn't-
just like Sister
Did I
Location.
beat 3?
In
I
Sister
think I did.
Location, you never know
No, I
if you
didn't.
should trust Baby. In Ruin,
beat
you
3.
never know if you should trust Gregory. Both games end with them telling us to go left or right,
Go forward and left. Keep going.
and both games feature an ending with a scooper. The multiple connections to Carnival, Baby, and Nightmare Eon seem to tell us that some version of what happened in the fourth closet is going to happen in the games. And in the fourth closet, Baby reveals that she was the one pretending to be Charlie's brother calling out for help. Baby also reveals that she wants to steal Charlie's identity so she can look more human. This is just like the ending
This
of
is
the Fazbear
insane.
Frights books. Eleanor, who I think is the book's parallel to Baby, was revealed as the big bad, and her main thing is stealing people's identities by ripping off their limbs. This plot point of a robot wanting to steal a human's identity is something we see over and over again in the Frights and Tales books. Story after story, Scott has been hammering this idea of a robot wanting to look more human into our heads. So both in the Silver Eyes trilogy and the Fazbear Frights books, we have a version of Baby being revealed as the big bad, with their main thing being they want to steal someone's identity. But at the
This
end
is
of Ruin, the
insane.
big bad is revealed
There's
to
so
be
much.
By now, I'm sure you've heard of the Mimic, an endoskeleton first introduced in the Tales books that was built to mimic whatever it sees. Here's a quick summary of the Mimic's story from the Tales books. A guy named Edwin, who works as an engineer for Fazbear Entertainment, built this endoskeleton for his son to keep him occupied while he works. This endoskeleton was programmed to mimic anything it sees, so it started mimicking Edwin's son. After Edwin's son died tragically, the endoskeleton was still mimicking Edwin's son. So in a fit of grief and rage, Edwin beat up the endoskeleton, pouring his agony into it. But the Mimic started mimicking what Edwin did to it, brutally killing anyone it came into contact with. The main way it would do this is by putting on random mascot costumes and then ripping off people's limbs. This endoskeleton was still mimicking Edwin's kid, but it was also murdering people at the same time. So it was basically an evil robot version of Edwin's kid. If you've watched any of my recent
God.
videos, you know that I believe this story is a parallel to Henry's story from the Silver Eyes trilogy. And after figuring out that Scott is using the Silver Eyes trilogy as heavy inspiration for the games, that belief has only been strengthened. In the Silver Eyes, Henry built a robot that mimics his daughter Charlie. Henry then poured his agony into the robot and left it behind, only for William to steal it and turn it into what we now know as Baby. Baby was now an evil robot version of Henry's kid, just like the Mimic. And I think a very similar version of this story happened
Whoa.
in the games as well. I think Henry built this endoskeleton to mimic his daughter Charlie, but after Charlie's death, Henry left it behind, only for Afton to steal it and use it to help build what we now know as Baby. The main goal of Eleanor and Baby in the Silver Eyes trilogy was to look more human by stealing someone's identity, and I think this endoskeleton that was built to mimic Charlie also wants the same thing. It was built to mimic Charlie, but it doesn't look human. Just like the robots wanting to be human stories Scott's been telling us for years now, it wants to be human. It wants to steal Cassie's identity. Need more proof? Throughout Ruin, you can find these comics that Cassie reveals were drawn by Gregory. These comics tell us that most of the endings that happened in Security Breach were not real and were just made up in Gregory's head, including the Burn Trap ending. During the Burn Trap ending of Security Breach, we see that Vanny was camping out down there helping to bring Afton back to life. We see that Afton was being kept in a charging pod with a circular window on the front of it. In Security Breach Fury's Rage, Vanny's boss battle takes place in a factory full of
This looks so
animatronic limbs
goofy.
and torsos, almost like Vanny is trying to rebuild something, and that thing that she's trying to rebuild
That's good meta.
is
Also,
being kept in a similar
you're right, he
pod
really
to
did,
Burn
yeah.
Trap. But it's not Burn Trap, it's Eleanor, a version of Baby that's known for ripping off people's limbs and stealing their identity, just like the Mimic rips off people's limbs and I think wants to steal Cassie's identity. But how could this Endo be Baby if she was scooped in Sister Location and burned in FNAF 6? Well, in the Tales books, it's revealed that the Mimic loves putting on costumes, just like you see in Ruin. But there's one specific costume that's been mentioned multiple times now, a Jester costume, which is what Baby is. She's dressed up just like a Jester. But the most recent time this Jester costume was brought up, it was revealed that it isn't just a normal costume, it's a Springlock suit. A Jester Springlock costume that this Mimic endoskeleton has put on and walked around in. Charlie describes Springlock suits in the Silver Eyes by saying, quote, "I think they were costumes. Sometimes people wore them, and sometimes my father put them onto the robots. Springlock suits can be put onto endoskeletons. And if this book is really hinting that Baby is a Springlock suit,
This is
that would line up with what we see
fucking
at the
crazy.
end of Ruin. This is Baby's endoskeleton, just without all the wires and the shell that comes with the Springlock suit. The Baby
I'm still
Springlock
listening,
suit
but I'm
would
gonna go
essentially
put
be
this drink in the
onto
fridge.
this endoskeleton with the same eyes, teeth, and head shape as Baby. I think people forget
Right,
that in
me
Night
too,
4
meta.
of Sister Location, Baby puts us inside a Springlock suit that has face plates, just like the Fun Times. So the idea that Baby could be a Springlock suit isn't too far-fetched. But even then, Baby got burned in FNAF 6. How could her endoskeleton still be around? Well, throughout Sister Location, Baby is the main character, but we never actually see her until Night 5, when she's about to get scooped. She's obviously not been scooped yet because she still has all of her wires and is in perfect condition. If she was already scooped, those wires would be gone, and her shell would be dismantled like we see with the other animatronics in the scooping room. But look at the way she's posed in this scene. She almost looks like the Golden Freddy suit. There's nothing to hold
Ew.
her up. She's also missing her eyes and teeth. She's missing
Ew.
her endoskeleton. She's posed like that because she's in suit mode. But if this endoskeleton wasn't in Baby during Sister Location, where was it? Well, one notable trait about the Mimic is that it messes with technology. Essentially, wherever it goes, it can turn off lights and intercept radio signals, like it does to lure Cassie in Ruin. In Sister Location, it's our job to check on the animatronics and see if they're on stage. With Ballora and Foxy, even if they're not behind the glass, we can still see their stages. But when we get to Baby's room and we turn on the lights, we see nothing. Also, as the nights go on, Baby's room is the only room where the controlled shocks just straight up stop working.
Oh,
I
circus
know.
Baby, we aren't here to play hide and seek. Let's encourage Baby to come out of hiding with a controlled shock.
I think it's possible that the Mimic Endo that was once in Baby is now being held in this room, the Circus Gallery. Need more proof? It's a pretty popular theory at this point that the pizzeria Henry uses in FNAF 6 was also Fredbear's Family Diner. People say this because the secret images of the alleyway in FNAF 6 look similar to the alley where Charlie was killed. Also, the gameplay of FNAF
Jesus.
6 is literally about upgrading an old pizzeria and turning it into what we see in Security Breach. Now, in Ruin, we see a cutout of Fredbear directly under the FNAF 6 pizzeria, which only strengthens the theory that they're the same building. Henry just reused and upgraded the building he already owns. Why
I
is this
know.
important, you ask? Because on the map in Sister Location, we can see Fredbear's Family Diner connected right to Baby's room. The Circus Gallery, the same room that I believe the Mimic was being held in.
This
explains
is
why we find the Mimic trapped
fucking
in this
insane.
specific area. It was being held in this part of the Sister Location bunker, forced to wander between Fredbear's and Baby's room. I think this room specifically was trying to remind us that Scrap Baby and the original Baby are two separate things. Scrap Baby was Elizabeth with green eyes. The tangle of wires and the shell that belonged to the Springlock costume itself that eventually got scooped and turned into Scrap Baby. But the robot that was inside Baby, the Mimic Endo, is its own thing, separate from Elizabeth, represented by the blue eyes. I think it's important to say that this Endo
so much
has
information.
obviously swapped out a lot of its parts over time, and can also shapeshift to literally fit itself into any costume in the books. So if some physical features and the scale of the Mimic don't 100% match, the Endo can literally shapeshift. I don't know what to tell you. So who made these mascot costumes? Well, like I said before, these mascot costumes were first introduced in the Twisted Ones to foreshadow Circus Baby's Pizza World. We even get a description that sounds just like one of the costumes we see in Ruin. One of the costumes was, quote, a massive contorted bird-like creature with a wide curved beak. These costumes were meant to foreshadow Circus Babies, and Circus Babies was definitely a William Afton thing, so they could be made by William. I mean, the Mushroom Cave was revealed to be William's secret bunker in the Twisted Ones, so that would make sense. But in the fourth closet, Charlie finds a book in Henry's workshop. This book was about the history of the traveling carnival and of the circus.
My
so
God,
we know that
bro.
Henry also had a fascination with the circus as well. It was also revealed that the cave and facility where the costumes were found was built under Henry's house. So it's also possible that these costumes were some of Henry's first creations. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think Help Wanted 2 is going to pick up right where we left off in Ruin. I mean, the ending of Ruin has an elevator falling to the ground. The trailer for Help Wanted 2 has the sister location elevator falling to the ground. I think we already saw in Ruin that the digital world and the real world are merging, and Cassie is struggling to know what's real and what's not. I think this is going to be the theme of Help Wanted 2, along with visiting the sister location bunker and Circus Baby's Pizza World. I know a lot of you probably think I'm insane, and there's going to be a lot of angry tweets, but I'm not taking any chances anymore. We live in a world where Scott and Steelwool took almost every single ending in Security Breach, even the fully animated one, and said none of that was real. So anything is possible. And I'm trusting these books to tell me what's going to happen next. And I guess we'll just have to see later this year if I'm onto something or if I'm dead wrong. There's still a ton of things to talk about in this game, like who is Cassie's dad and what's the deal with the scooper. So look forward to more theories in the future. Please remember that this was just a theory. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions, don't take everything I say as canon, and I hope you enjoyed. See you at the circus.
Whoa. She. That's fucking crazy. Holy shit. Like, what the fuck? Someone's getting mad at run for his money. This is crazy, bro. I know, me too. This is. What? Yeah, this one is too. Yeah, they both are, I guess. Oh, wait. Yeah, they both are. There's two of them.
The day's finally here.
Stop. Stop. I really want to play this game. I saw Markiplier play it, like, year and a half. I think it was like 2 years ago, actually. This is before the game came out, right? It hasn't been out for 2 months, has it? I think it's like a month and a half now. Why? I clicked on this once. Why does it think that I watched it? I was like, what the fuck? Also, yes, Just Dance does have lore. What the do I feel like watching MatPat? Or for the DLC came out? Oh, okay.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that is definitely the real deal and not a sentient robot designed to copy my voice. Today we begin our journey to solve the most anticipated
curious, though, to
DLC
see if
of
it's
the
similar
year,
to,
Security Breach Ruin. Gotta admit, this DLC has been fantastic. Playing it really felt like Steel Wool learned from
The
their
other one.
mistakes. Gone is the open world that was big but empty. Gone is the brightly lit neon environments that stopped being scary. And gone are the insane glitches that made the game impossible to fully complete.
Ooh, hey. Whoa! We are not where we were.
This definitely feels like we've skipped something.
I think we broke the game. I think I broke the game for like the 3rd time.
Okay, maybe not all the glitches are gone, and just so happened to be on my first playthrough, I managed to skip an entire chapter that was filled with the most lore, but hey, consider that my contribution to the speedrunning community. You can call that one the failed lore hunter skip in my honor.
Right,
my
yeah,
crowning
meta.
achievement in the world of gaming. Just to make sure that we're all starting on the same page, in the game, we play as a new character named Cassie, a young girl that's been called to the Pizzaplex by her friend and my personal favorite, maybe definitely robot kid, Gregory. Gregory tells us through a Roxy talkie that he's trapped under the sinkhole in Roxy Raceway. One staff bot jump scare later and we're handed a quote-unquote security mask, one that's meant to help us bypass certain puzzles while shutting down all the security nodes that are keeping Gregory locked down in the basement.
Yeah, I'm curious to see
But
what
this,
he
my
says.
friends, is not just
I don't
any
want to sit here for
mask. This
30
is
minutes, though.
Vanny's mask, the one that Vanessa wore throughout the entirety of Security Breach, making it pretty darn suspicious. Using this mask allows us to look into an augmented reality
So we'll
system,
see.
seeing things that we couldn't see before, making us invisible to certain enemies. We can suddenly walk through walls, deactivate security nodes, intentionally teleport, and as I demonstrated earlier, also accidentally teleport sometimes. Mask in hand, we make our way through the Pizzaplex, shutting down the security and encountering the various Glamrock animatronics from the original game, including the bestest boy Glamrock Freddy, though something's a little different about him this time. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's probably the fact that he's missing his head. All of this while running from a glitching
You
bunny
did tell
entity
me?
that'll
Oh, yeah, you
summon
did.
animatronics to our location if we wear the Vanny mask for too long. Eventually, we deactivate all the security nodes, including Cassie's favorite Glamrock, Roxy.
Cassie, what are you doing?
Sorry.
This allows us to head on down to the basement where, surprise, surprise, it wasn't Gregory at all. Instead, it was an animatronic. See, told you guys Gregory was a robot this entire time. This thing right here is the Mimic, a bot designed to learn from and copy other people and robots. And whoopsie poopsie, we've just released it from its concrete prison. We run to the
Jesus.
elevator to try to escape, only for the real Gregory to finally contact us and lead us to safety. The elevator is ultimately sabotaged by either Gregory or the Mimic, unclear who exactly, that's a theory that we're going to talk about later, and we fall into the game's ending with Cassie's fate being questionable at best. Honestly, there is so much happening in this game. True to form, the fanbase is just tying itself into knots arguing over all the little details. Did Gregory actually betray us in the end? What does the word prototype mean on Freddy's foot exactly? And what ending of Security Breach actually led us to this point in the timeline? Well, good news
Fucking
there, loyal theorists. I
wild.
believe I have at least the first batch of questions answered, and oh boy, if I'm right, this game is drawn from one of the most controversial parts of the lore, will simultaneously set
But
us
Euro,
up for
it
some
was
massive
like with
reveals
the Mimic,
later this
though.
year. So
Mimic,
grab
like,
your
tried to-
AR
like,
bunny
it's probably
masks,
mimicking
friends.
Gregory
We're
or
about to
something.
see the hidden truth buried
I don't know.
within
Who
the
knows?
ruin. But before I do that, you know what complements a high-tech bunny mask? Our latest batch of Theoryware. That's right, after almost a year's hiatus, we are back in our short world. The anything. They're not in a way that
Bro!
so cool. Or let's start with something simple, something
Wow.
that really sets the foundation for the rest of Ruin. Which
I
of
had
the
to
Security
skip
Breach
so
endings
much.
is canon? Security Breach has had a weird relationship with its endings. Sure, some previous FNAF games have had multiple endings, some have even had upwards of 7, but none has ever been so vague about what the intended ending was. Of Security
That was
Breach's 6
fucking
potential
stupid.
endings, there were 2 that felt like real contenders for being the canon choice. The so-called true ending, 2-star ending where Gregory goes into the Pizzaplex's basement to fight Burntrap, ending in a collapse of the entire building, and the Princess Quest ending, the only 3-star ending of the game where Freddy's dismantled by staff bots and Gregory defeats the glitch trap virus controlling Vanessa. So now that Ruin's out, which actually happened? Well, we could say with near 100% certainty that it was Princess Quest. You see, Steel Wool did something that I would have never expected. They made the comic book style drawings of all the Security Breach endings into the linchpin of the whole debate.
Oh!
Are we collecting the endings from Security Breach as comics?
Yep, throughout Ruin, one of our main collectibles are comic strips. Comic strips depicting images from the base game's various endings. Comics that were created by none other than...
It's one of Gregory's comics.
Each comic comes with a little descriptor like that. These look like Gregory drew them. Gregory should be an artist when he grows up. Gregory was always so creative. That last line, about Gregory being creative, that tells me that these endings are all made up. They're just stories that Gregory imagined for his own little comic series, inspired by the scary true-to-life events of the franchise. But if they're made up, then how do we know that the Princess Quest ending is real? Well, once you collect all of Gregory's comics, the answer is pretty obvious. Take a look at this. These two are from the Gregory Escapes ending. These two are from the VIP ending. These are from the Loading Dock ending. This one is from the Disassemble Vanny ending. And then, last but not least, is the Burn Trap ending panel. Seems like a pretty extensive list, right? Except there's one ending that's noticeably absent here. Princess Quest. There isn't a single comic strip in all of Ruin depicting
they're
that
very
ending,
cute.
implying that one,
Or some of the
unlike
drawings
all the
very
others, was real. And if you look around at the rest of Ruin with this in mind, you start to realize why. In the Princess Quest ending, you have to beat the Princess Quest 3
Why was that
arcade machine
so
that's in
fucking
Vanny's
hard?
hideout. But when you visit that same hideout in Ruin, you find the machine on its side,
Wanna
with the
touch your
princess's
spaghetti?
lantern
Somebody
sitting on
touch
top
my
of it. She
spaghetti.
has conquered the virus, lighting the way to freedom. And if the lantern wasn't obvious enough symbolism for you, when you put on the Vanny mask and enter the AR world, you'll see the sword from Princess Quest 2 and 3 plunged into the machine. The beast has been slain. Actually, the fact that Cassie's given the Vanny mask in the first place also lines up with this ending, because it's the only ending where we actively see the mask getting left behind. It's actually a big focus of this panel right here, showing us that the mask being left behind is significant. It's
That's
still waiting
true,
around
meta.
for someone, in this case Cassie, to find it and become the new Vanny. And then, last but not least, there's the fact that in Ruin we come across Freddy, sitting in a pile of rubble missing his head, something that again only happens in the Princess Quest ending. So with our canonical ending established, let's just stop right there to talk a little bit more about Freddy, shall we? In Ruin we come across this headless Freddy, but it's unclear whether it's meant to be our Freddy from Security Breach or not. You see, this Freddy has the word prototype written across his foot, something that is definitely not present in the base game. He also has a green present hiding in his stomach, something that's awfully suspicious once you consider Security Breach started with Gregory taking an orange present out of Freddy's stomach. This can't possibly be the same robot then, right? This is one of the big debates that's captured the attention of the Faz base. If the Princess Quest ending is correct, then it kinda has to be the same Freddy. It would be very highly coincidental if not. So how then do you explain all these new features? Well, first, I think it's important to call out that design updates between games, it is nothing new for this franchise. Probably the best known example of this is the evolution of Springtrap in FNAF 3 to Scrap Trap in FNAF 6. William Afton's basic anatomy, it is nothing alike, despite it being the same dead body in the same rotten suit. Even in this game, Candy Cadet, complete overhaul between his first appearance and now. Or just take a look at any of the other animatronics. Their endos are real different to the ones at the end of Security Breach, and yet each and every one of them has suffered the exact same damage that they did in the previous game. But one detail that can't be replicated is something that I think a lot of the community has started to overlook. Something that can't be denied. And it all relates back to the Vanny mask.
The Varney mask.
This mask is known as the Virtual Augmented Neural Network Integration Unit, or VANI. As the name implies, it allows us to use augmented reality to physically see and access the neural network, that's just a fancy name for AI, controlling the Pizzaplex. Throughout the game, we use this ability to make fences disappear, access security nodes, and teleport from location to location. That much is obvious. What's less obvious, though, are how the various endoskeletons behave while we're wearing the mask. As we pass most normal endoskeletons in the game, we see them wrapped in swirling pink code. This shows that they're connected to the network. They're being powered by the AI system in charge of the Pizzaplex. Now, when Cassie has the Vanny mask off, they'll start chasing us. That's because we're suddenly visible to them. We're just a kid. We're a target. But notice what happens as soon as we put the mask on. They stop chasing us. Instead, they go back to what they were doing before. We've disappeared from them because we're integrated into the AI system. We're no longer a kid. We've become one with the code. It's actually pretty brilliant, subtle storytelling. But now let's get back to the topic at hand, our headless Freddy in Ruin. Unlike every other animatronic, when we put on the mask around Freddy, not only does he stop chasing us, he outright disappears. We can't see him anymore. And likewise, he can no longer see us. Why? What makes him so different? What is this trying to tell us? Well, if the Vanny mask jacks us into the Pizzaplex's AI system,
these subtitles are so wrong.
He's not a part of that system. He is not swirling in pink code because he's removed from the Pizzaplex's network. How'd that happen? Well, we saw it at the top of Security Breach. Freddy glitches out and has to be rebooted in safe mode. That's why he's friendly to Gregory in a way that none of the other animatronics are. He's no longer under the control of the AI network controlling the Pizzaplex. In a sense, you could say he's thinking for himself. And we see this continue throughout the entirety entirety of
captions
Security
are
Breach. Whenever
wrong.
Gregory sees Vanny running
See?
around, Freddy
Varney, and then Freddy keeps being spelled with an I-E instead of a
states
Y.
that he didn't see
Like it's
anything.
it's like the captions aren't correct.
Right in front of us?
No, I did not. There is no rabbit at the Mega Pizzaplex. Not anymore.
Vanny is
I
very
think they
clearly
are
real, but
auto-generated.
she's wearing her mask, thereby making her invisible to the one robot that isn't a part of the wider AI system, that only changes when Freddy is equipped with Roxy's eyes. Roxy's eyes in that game were a part of the AI system, which is why that upgrade suddenly allows Freddy to see things that were formerly invisible to him. He's seeing everything that's a part of the AI network,
Is this
and
very-
that includes Vanny.
Vanny, I can see you now. I have new eyes.
This one detail is why I feel that Ruined Freddy here has to be the same as our best boy from Security Breach. This is a Freddy that has been removed from the system, one that was rebooted in safe mode, taking him offline, something that almost guarantees that he has to be connected to the Freddy from the original game. Weird Freddy curveballs aside though, this game makes it abundantly clear that I was right on the money with my last few theories about how AI is now the major focus of the series, and specifically AI programs that have been corrupted by Glitch Trap, Afton's old evil data, hence why everything is wrapped in this purple or pink code. Well, everything except for Roxy. Instead of being made out of purple code like the rest of the animatronics, she instead has sections of her body made up of green code, specifically around her face, her arm, and her foot, making her look a lot like she did at the beginning of Security Breach. It's strange,
Crazy.
right? But it actually ties into our previous theories. This neural network controlling the Pizzaplex isn't just influenced by Afton. According to the books, the AI program was
prototype
originally
thing,
built to play
everything
with
else kinda
Charlie,
makes sense
a girl
to me,
that
though.
wore a green wristband in order for the security puppet to protect her. That's why we see Tiger Rock, the book's manifestation of this same AI, with two colored eyes. It has evil and good data inside of it, and different animatronics are tapped into different amounts of that same code. That's why Roxy is surrounded by green code that makes her look like she was originally supposed to. Green is the color of protection, of safety. Her influence is now putting green markers over the parts of the system that are good. This duality is actually best exemplified by, believe it or not, the daycare attendant, Sun and Moon, or Eclipse, as they're known when fused together. Since the beginning of Security
Yeah, I don't
Breach, this
know.
thing's presence in the game has always
I don't
felt
know about the
very
prototype
random.
thing.
Like, why
Everything
is he
else,
here?
I feel
Just
like
to be another
kind of
scary
like
thing to chase
makes
us
sense,
around,
but
maybe, but that doesn't tend to be how these
that
games
doesn't.
work.
I don't
And why
feel
would
like
they choose
that's.
such a
I feel
random
like they have
design
two
of being
different
both light and
things.
darkness,
Genuinely.
Sun and Moon? Well, now we know. In one of Ruin's many lore-heavy Easter eggs, if you go up to him with the mask on while there's only one generator left to activate, you'll hear a new line that states,
No! It's not safe yet! Turn on the other generator!
clearly, Eclipse is conflicted. One half wants to protect you, but it's getting shut away by the darker, more sinister half. He is good and evil combined. He represents both codes competing within the same body. Other animatronics are more of a sliding spectrum. Some are more corrupt than others, but Eclipse represents the balance that naturally exists within this neural network system, which leads us then to the ending of the game. Whether Gregory is actually the one trying to kill Cassie in the final moments is a theory for another day. Instead, I'd rather focus
Or
on
whatever.
this,
Yeah,
the
I
Mimic
agree with that,
tunnels.
Euro.
At the end of the game, we're chased by an endoskeleton known as the Mimic, a robot that's able to learn from and copy other creatures. But even before we get to the elevator, Gregory tells us his friend, presumably Vanessa, has these plans for the underground tunnels.
My friend has access to the building map. Just follow the instructions.
But what are the tunnels? Why are they here? Who put them here? These tunnels aren't just random. Someone has been down here before. They've installed lighting and an elevator and everything. We also know it wasn't Gregory and Vanessa because they're on the opposite side of the room that the Mimic was locked in, the Pizzaplex side, complete with the mixes system. We also know that these tunnels weren't just part of the FNAF 6 location because the game makes it a point to show that we're a number of floors far below that building. It tells us that this location has to be older than the FNAF 6 pizzeria. So again, I ask, what are these tunnels for and why are they here? Well, the clues to finding that answer are hidden in the Mimic's room. Normally, you wouldn't be able to see any of this stuff. You break down the wall, you enter a cutscene, and the Mimic starts to chase you. However, at this point, Steel Wool understands that the internet gonna do what the internet gonna do. We're gonna rip into the files, we're gonna free cam our way all across these maps, and we're gonna crank up the brightness hunting for clues. And sure enough, there is a lot that's hidden just out of sight. Inside the Mimic's room are two costumes, a grandma bird and an elephant clown. There also seems like there's supposed to be a third costume, a lion wearing a varsity jacket, but that one I was only able to find in the game files. That said, in one of the game's secret endings, the Mimic wears a costume that's kind of a mix of all three of these things, so that's the evidence that we need there. And overall, it's a pretty interesting find. We know from the books that the Mimic is a fan of wearing costumes. In the Mimic story, as well as the Pizzaplex epilogues, we know that the Mimic mainly cycles between two costumes, a mushroom and a jester. In the story, Edwin, our parallel for the game's Henry, was responsible for turning those costumes into animatronics for Fazbear. And that right there, that's an important detail. You see, the books make it clear that those costumes
I still
came
like
from
the other
time
theory better. I
before
think that one makes more
made
sense.
Chica into the first animatronic. In other words, these off-branded characters like a jester and a mushroom predate practically everything else that we see in the games. They come from a time before the core lineup of characters was officially decided. When Edwin disappears after the death of his son,
otherwise, I'm
Fazbear
sure,
Entertainment goes to his abandoned home and reclaims all of their property. The Mimic, the costumes, everything. Think this is only specific to the books? It's not. I suspect that we've been hearing about these costumes ever since Night 4 of FNAF 3.
Until replacements arrive, you will be expected to wear the temporary costumes provided to you. Keep in mind that they were found on very short notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected.
But that's not all. On your way down to the FNAF 6 location, we find ourselves in
The
a massive
Netflix
cave
location.
system full of bioluminescent mushrooms and waterfalls. This immediately felt weird to me. I mean, it is the first time that we've ever been in a place like this. A place that is outside of a building location in this franchise. So why now? Why this particular setting? Why such a beautiful cave with such specific details? It's odd because we've never seen anything like this in the entire series. Well, almost never. In the second novel, The Twisted Ones. As a friendly reminder, that's the one where the main character gets vored by an animatronic in the end. Good memories had by all. When Charlie awakens from being trapped inside one of the twisted animatronics, she finds herself inside of an old Freddy Fazbear pizzeria. As she explores, she too discovers a cave system with, wait for it, glowing mushrooms and a waterfall. What does it mean?
She gets
the more I looked into
vored,
it, the more I
he
realized
said.
the strong parallels between Ruin and the original novel trilogy.
My
in both
God.
cases, we follow a young girl who's looking for a boy the same age as her that goes missing. She finds an old pizzeria buried below a mall, and when she goes down there to where she believes
Nah,
the
it's
boy's
literally what
calling
he said,
from,
dog.
it's revealed to be a trap. Am I saying Cassie is Charlie? No, I might one day, but for now I'm still mulling that one over. But I do think that there are clear connections between this game and those books that are directly being called to our attention. And what's the primary location for the final book in the series? The location where this story finally comes to its ultimate conclusion? Circus Baby's Pizza World. Look again at the costumes that we see in the Mimic's room. An
Some of the
elephant,
things
clown,
are
and a
similar to the
lion,
other
both
guy.
animals that are commonly associated with circuses. The grandma bird actually looks a lot like a crow to me with its wide yellow beak and its dark blue coloring, which again reminds me of the Disney film Dumbo, another circus-based film that stars crows and an elephant attraction. The elephant is even wearing a clown outfit, for crying out loud. It is practically screaming at us that these costumes were designed to be mascots for circus babies. It's why when they were brought into Fazbear's as backup costumes, like Phone Guy said, their relevance was questioned, because Fazbear never had a circus theme or revealed any of these sorts of characters. They were Williams from a long time before. But that's not all. Throughout Ruin, there are secret plush baby rooms where the dolls troll you, and a whole suite of plush baby AR collectibles that specifically call out how weird it is that these things are here. This is Fazbear, not circus babies. There is no reason to call out all of these parallels unless it is specifically to call our attention to Circus Baby. These locations are connected somehow. But the final nail in the coffin for me comes thanks to one of the secret endings in the game. After the Mimic chases you in costume, you end up in a locked room where you hit a big ol' red button and a claw-like machine comes down from the ceiling, grabs the Mimic, and defeats it, at least for now. And what's that ending called in the game files? The Scoop.
Kinda like a love
This thing
variant,
right
yeah.
here, it is a scoop. And where's the only other place that we've ever seen a scoop used? Circus Babies. An underground bunker that you can only access via an elevator. Oh wait, that describes exactly where we are. Now, remind me again what game is coming out later this year? One that has a trailer starting in the sister location elevator? One where we see a very familiar security panel from Ruin down in the bottom right corner. Help Wanted 2, the second VR game. The Mimic has been around much longer than any of us suspected. And we're gonna find out more about him in the next VR installment coming this winter. This has all sorts of implications.
I would throw up if
For
I
one,
played
parallels
FNAF in
between the
VR.
Mimic and Ennard are undeniable.
Throw up.
An animatronic that's an amalgamation of a bunch of other animatronics. What makes this one even more interesting is that the books just confirmed all games up through FNAF 6 as being games in universe of the Pizzaplex. So was Ennard just a fictional version of the Mimic the whole time? Again, that's a theory for another day. But more importantly, this actually has some massive timeline implications as well. Part of the reason it always felt tough for me to place Circus Babies into a timeline is because it closes after the death of Elizabeth. That always felt like a good starting point for Afton to then begin seeking eternal life and to put people back together. But what didn't make sense is why Baby would have a claw mechanism in her chest to capture kids. Afton wouldn't need to capture kids until after he had lost his child. But if Circus Babies was actually much earlier in the timeline, like these old costumes seem to suggest, things start to fall into place. Henry was the initial robotics genius. Afton just had the ideas, and and then gave them to Henry to turn into animatronics, like what we see with Edwin in the Mimic stories. I always brush this little detail off as confusing, but before the release of Sister Location, we got this ending from FNAF World, where Henry sits at a desk talking about the evil that he created before he unalives himself, just like what we see him do in the novel trilogy. At that point, we see a pair of glowing eyes, and Baby's voice calls out,
Everyone, please stay in your seats.
This all implied that Henry was the creator of Baby, not William, despite Afton's name being the one on the copyright. But now I think we have an answer that solves all of this. William went back to collect his costumes after Henry's disappearance, just like what we see happen in the books. When he does this, he also finds the Mimic program, deciding to use its programming and technology for his own creations, the Funtime animatronics, who can do what? They have the ability to mimic voices. We see Baby doing the exact same thing in Sister Location when she mimics the voice of Elizabeth to try and lure Michael to his death. I suspected in my last theory that Baby was still at play here. That's why Tiger Rock's eyes are blue and green, Elizabeth and Charlie. And given everything that we just talked about today, I have no doubt that this is still very much the case. How it's gonna play out though, we'll have to see in FNAF VR 2 later this year. Obviously there's gonna be more to cover here in the coming weeks, specifically about Gregory, Cassie, and Cassie's dad, but more on that one next time, because in the meantime, remember that our brand new line of merch just dropped today. Need to carry your books or laptop to school? Well, the messenger bag.
Anyway, that was something for sure. That was something. Huh. Well, I personally liked the other one a lot more. I sure hope so. I gotta go work on that. Speaking of that, someone hop off here, but I appreciate you guys hanging with me. There'll be a video tomorrow. I'm working on a cinematic video, which is exciting, and I'm very excited the way that it's turning out so far. So thanks for hanging. Well, I'm not gonna rate anybody. I'm just gonna end because I'm pretty tired. So I'm tired, but I'm gonna go work on other shit. Like I don't have stream energy. I have the energy to go do other things. But thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I'll try to post the schedule for this week in Discord soon. I don't have a specific day yet. Like I don't know when, but thanks for being here. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow with the video. Video time tomorrow. What the fuck is happening? I can't. Things are broken. Oh, there it goes. Oh my god. All right. Bye-bye.
Nice cock. Perfect.